Today in the program, clever window blinds with solar panels as a way to radically rethink energy conservation. How did space technologies allow Ukrainian engineers to make a breakthrough in the autonomous generation of electricity? Can these blinds give energy in latitudes over the course of a short day of light? uatv verifies the effectiveness of one of the most ambitious and innovative Ukrainian projects of recent years. The Master of Craft. The sum of technologies is one of the key concepts of technical progress. What happens if modern man suddenly finds himself in the past, not in the distant past, but in the 19th century? It is clear that a mobile phone is an unattainable technological miracle by the standards of that time. However, 150 years ago, the best masters could not even learn how to sew clothing for travelers, because it is also a product of the sum of technology, from conveyor belt production to synthetic materials. The main global discoveries that turned the world inside out were made in the 20th century, but there were so many of them that to this very day mankind still cannot take full advantage of them. For example, for more than 60 years, scientists have known exactly how a thermonuclear reactor works inside the Sun. But it was incredibly difficult to build it on Earth. People simply did not know about the materials that can withstand such huge temperatures. Instead, engineers were trying to create a special magnetic field that would not allow the red-hot plasma to flow. Meanwhile, sooner or later, thanks to some new discovery in a related field of science, a breakthrough will come. This is what happened with solar batteries. Glass buildings will grow everywhere. There will be photochemical processes inside them that until now were an unknown mystery of plants. But all this will be mastered by human civilization. This is a quote from the speech of the Italian scientist Giacomo Luigi Ciamician in 1912. He even assembled the first prototypes of solar batteries, but people could create full-fledged working models only 40 years later, and they were for space satellites. Then there was no talk about the household use of solar energy. But today, entire fields of solar panels provide electricity to cities. It's because the amount of technology simplified the old invention and made it cheaper. And today it was precisely those batteries in space satellites helped Ukrainian engineers make an amazing breakthrough in the field of solar energy. Solar panels are 100 times cheaper than they were 50 years ago. They have become more effective, at least by 10 to 15 times. So today we're seeing the introduction of new technologies in this sphere. And my task here is to offer the most qualitative and affordable solution. Yevhen Eric is the head of a Ukrainian team of inventors who developed the world's first smart window blinds with solar panels. But the most important fact is that the team has already managed to introduce and implement them as a ready-made technological solution that is affordable for millions. Now we're talking not about innovations, but their implementation. For example, this is the way it was with electric machines. They were invented 100 years ago, and over the last decade we see how rapidly the electrification of our automotive industry is growing. The same goes for these blinds. What technologies form the basis of these smart blinds? How much energy can 1 square meter of panels generate, and will they work in the evenings? Finally, why are the Ukrainian developments interesting for the European Commission and NASA? Watch next in the program. We have already touched on the issue about how people become inventors simply by coming up with a solution to some everyday household problems. The same way some years ago, Yevhen started thinking about energy saving for his house. I came to this as a user with an engineering approach. I realized that I could not mount the solar panels on my roof. It is a long and costly process. They are difficult to maintain on the roof and protect them from snow and wind and other natural elements. The plane of the window proved to be a very interesting solution. Yevhen says that he tried out transparent solar panels of at least 20 different manufacturers. The main problem was that during the day the window was in an optimal position to the sun for a very short time. The efficiency of such batteries is very low, around 4 to 6%. The solution was to make adjustable panels that could be hung on the window. Why not blinds? However, the simple idea was initially very difficult to implement. We started with the first model, which worked on polycrystalline elements. They were the cheapest, as they were made in China. But then we found out that 80% of it is not suitable for blinds. It is extremely fragile and it requires a construction design made of glass. Window blinds made of glass, which will not hang on the window even for a month, of course, it's nonsense. However, technological obstacles only inspired him in his quest, and he eventually found a solution. How it's done. Today's office blinds are rooted in the middle of the 19th century. Wooden horizontal blinds were patented and massively installed in the US back then. Only in the 1940s, the sum of technology allowed only for the use of thin and light metal plates in the design. However, it takes 70 more years of progress in order to build photoelectric converters into them. The very idea of making solar panels that would rotate to the movement of the sun just like sunflowers by no means was a new concept. There were several attempts to create something effective, efficient and novel. These were not even blinds, but large solar panels with trackers that scientific research institutes tried to mount on large high-rise buildings as an experiment. But this was not a product that could be provided to ordinary people who live in high-rise apartment building complexes. This was the most serious challenge, to install solar panels from satellites on the blinds, but not with space costs. Had Yevhen tried to find a solution to this problem 10 years ago, he most likely would have failed. Previously, these technologies were expensive beyond all reason, and basically were used only for outer space. What we're using now has entered the market actively over the last 5 years. As a result, we came to the materials that were not previously represented on the market. These are flexible monocrystalline modules. Today, silicon is the basis of any photoelectric element, but the main question is, what is its structure? Polycrystalline batteries are assembled from many different fragments, and single crystal ones are made from specially grown silicon crystals. This technology is genuinely invented for outer space. The efficiency of the best mono panels reaches 38%, which is twice as high as for poly panels. Yevhen needed them to be very thin, flexible and resistant to damage. A few years ago, no one in the world produced solar panels with such characteristics, so it was necessary to form an individual order. Today, the panels that we use have 22% efficiency. They are the best in the industry that are available today. And the special feature of these modules is that even if they are broken in 10 or 20 places, they continue to work. They have a special copper base and there is a spring on top. They are made to perfection based on another technology. In addition, the panels of the latest models are covered with a film which smoothens itself out after scratches under the influence of sunlight. The rest was just a matter of technique to assemble a light metal frame, in fact blinds, with an electric motor for adjustment. In 2015, Yevhen and his team of engineers presented the development on one of the world's crowdfunding platforms and raised more than $100,000 instead of the projected $50,000. As you can see, we almost doubled the amount of funds that we had planned to raise. Then we went to another platform and exceeded this amount by 3 times. The most important thing is not only the device itself. The most important thing is to create a community of people who use this device. According to the inventor, the Ukrainian project dispelled one of the main stereotypes about solar batteries. That is, it makes sense to install them only in southern countries, where the sun is often high, and there are at least 200 clear days per year. The designer says his blinds are capable of providing a large and tangible amount of energy even in winter months, and even in such country as Ukraine. You know that in the winter the sun is very low, and the usual solar panel installed on the roof is extremely ineffective in trying to catch the sun, but these innovative blinds work just fine in the winter. We decided to check if this is really true. In mid-December in Kyiv, the sun barely looks out from behind the buildings in the center of the city. To complicate the task, we chose the period before the sunset, around 4 o'clock in the day according to winter time. So, do we have a contact? Scattered sunlight is sufficient somewhere from 20 to 30% of the generation of solar energy. Right now, there is no direct sunlight, and yet the panel shows around 20 to 18 volts. We can test this by plugging in a mobile phone and see whether it's effectively charged. Yevhen says that under direct sunlight, this section of the blinds will be able to generate power somewhere in the ballpark of hundreds of watts and provide energy to 3 laptops. We asked, is there really no hidden source of energy in these blinds? Now, when you slightly close the blinds, there are only 8 or 6 volts. That is, the voltage immediately falls. The phone is charging at the same time. As soon as I step away, the voltage rises to around 13 volts. The most important thing, as you can see, it is evening now. In winter, the sun's angle is very low, and solar panels cannot effectively catch the sun being on the roof at such an angle. This can only be achieved through a window blind that tracks the sun. They monitor the sun and expose the angle to the optimum for generating the necessary and desired amount of solar energy. That's right, Ukrainian blinds are also smart. They're able to adjust to the sun without human intervention. You can adjust them yourself using a built-in remote control device or a special application for the smartphone. However, Yevhen conceived and invented his solar blinds especially as an element of a smart house. Automation is what comes first in the homes of the future. These are all sensors that track movement around the house and so on. When you go into the room, the blinds open. When you leave to go to work, the blinds close, generate energy and keep the heat inside your home. In other words, it's the main advantage of combining innovative technologies. But are all these tricks worth it to provide energy for 3 laptops? Yevhen often asked himself this question while he was developing his innovation. So this begs the question, will his solar blinds become one of those promising yet unclaimed successful innovation projects? He found answer in the most popular home appliance of our time. As people improve their financial situation, they install air conditioners. These devices have a critical impact on the cost of electricity. We analyzed the US market. About 45% of all energy is spent on air conditioning. Window blinds, in this case, are the optimal solution to the issue of high costs. These blinds generate solar energy and reduce the level of consumption of air conditioning in all homes. This is because the blinds naturally cover the sun and at the same time generate energy for air conditioners. Such an elegant solution made the project developed by Yevhen Eric ecological. In October 2017, the European Commission financed Ukrainian solar blinds in the first phase of the Horizon 2020 SME program. This is the largest initiative of the European Union to stimulate science and innovation designed for 2014 to 2020 with a budget of around 80 billion euros. The goal of the program is to maximally improve the lives of people through the rapid introduction of new technologies in a variety of fields. The participation of Ukrainian startups in the contest became possible thanks to the association agreement with the European Union signed in 2014. The program is designed for several tranches. The first is a test. They give us these 50,000 euros in order for us to carry out primary processes such as product certification. We already have certification in Ukraine and we are now applying for EU certification. Further, we will apply for certification in the US. The fact that we received the Horizon 2020 grant is certainly a confirmation that our innovative solar blinds project has extremely high prospects. Yevhen plans to participate in this program to the end and apply for further tranches from the European Commission. In addition, the Ukrainian project caught the interest of the Singularity University. It is located in the famous Silicon Valley in the NASA Research Park and was founded by Ray Kurzweil, one of the most influential futurists of our time. The Singularity University invites inventors from around the world and now from Ukraine to attend special courses in innovative inventions. They choose projects that can have a positive effect on the lives of 1 billion people in a decade. I spent 3 months working for the NASA EM Center in California. For us, it was just a completely mind-blowing experience. So this is what completely changed our view of the big picture of what will happen in the future and how we will be able to adapt to it. In recent decades, with the invention of more and more new technologies, energy consumption has grown at times, and solar-powered plants even now generate just over 1% of electricity in the world. Ukrainian smart blinds will allow for the introduction of autonomous solar energy everywhere around the globe and will significantly offset the growing demand. Yevhen Eric perfectly understands that he and his team cannot tackle such a huge global task alone, so he offers potential rivals to join his team in this innovative process. It's not that we found a solution that only we know about and that we sit comfortably in our laboratory and do not want to share it with anyone. No, if someone wants to help us or become our competitor, we're ready to invite them to be a partner. We're ready to provide our technological solution so it becomes available on a global scale as soon as possible.